Farm Week is a production of the Mississippi State University Extension Service.
Today on Farm Week, more on the recovery from the April 28th tornadoes. One Winston County poultry operation lost everything.
The Mississippi State University Extension Service celebrates its 100th anniversary.
The largest crowd ever comes out for the open house at the Mississippi State University College of Veterinary Medicine.
In the markets, some advice to sell new crop corn, while one effect of PEDV may be reduced hog slaughter.
In the feature segment, Pride of the Pond. This Mississippi catfish operation believes in doing what it takes to produce great tasting catfish.
That's what's going to determine whether we stay in business or not is our quality and our service, and that's what we want to compete on. On flavor catfish that's treated properly is by far better than any fish I've ever eaten.
Good day, everyone. I'm Leighton Spann.
And I'm Artis Ford. Welcome to Farm Week.
It seems longer, but it has been less than 2 weeks since tornadoes and storms struck Mississippi April 28th.
Leighton, since our last Farm Week, the official death toll in Mississippi has risen to 14 with the discovery of a young boy missing in the Louisville area. Damage estimates are also being updated as they're reported to state and federal officials. Timber damage is now placed at more than $14 million. The Mississippi Forestry Commission says in the 6 heaviest hit counties, $14.3 million worth of timber was damaged or destroyed. This includes pine and hardwood damage, both public and private. Winston County lost more than $6.5 million, with both Itawamba and Leake losing more than $2 million each. The number of poultry houses damaged or destroyed has risen to 79. State veterinarian Jim Watson says 57 of those have been classified as destroyed, with 22 said to be damaged. More than 1 million chickens were lost. Much of that poultry house destruction occurred in northeast Scott County and continued northwest into Winston County. Tyson Foods reports that its farmers alone lost 36 houses in the area. One Winston County poultry grower lost all 8 of his poultry houses to the EF4 tornado. Charles Wilkes poultry houses once looked like these of a neighbor, all neat and tidy. It only took 30 seconds for an EF4 tornado to turn his 8 chicken houses into splinters and wreckage. In fact, the tornado damaged or destroyed every structure on the farm, barns, sheds, and the Wilkes home. The Wilkes family heard it all from their storm shelter.
Oh, we went out there probably 4 or 5 minutes till it hit. And then it got loud and the top rolled back on the storm shelter.
The Wilkes installed this steel storm shelter in the ground about 10 years ago after another tornado struck the property. They came inside of it, they bolted it down shut. The tornado hit. It obliterated the building that used to stand on top of this storm shelter, and then it grabbed the corner of this steel hatch trying to rip it off.
When we get our new house, the first thing that's going to be built is a basement so all of our family can get down in it.
Shortly after the tornado hit, the Wilkes received a phone call from a man who had found one of their check stubs miles away to the northwest.
He said, "You don't know me, but I live in Columbus, Mississippi, and I just walked outside my house and found your check stub, and I had to call and make sure you were all right."
Surprisingly, the Wilkes cows and horses were unhurt by the tornado. Their insurance coverage will cover part of their losses. Once the debris from the poultry houses is buried, they plan to rebuild.
We're going to build them back just as soon as we can get to re-permitted, and because they're going to be a little bit bigger houses, but we'll have to go through a re-permitting process because they'll be bigger. As soon as we can get them built back, get the permits back, we're going to build them right back.
From Winston County, Mississippi, I'm Artis Ford reporting.
One of the biggest events of the year at Mississippi State's College of Veterinary Medicine is the annual open house. Elementary school students as well as the public get an up-close look at life in veterinary medicine, and they're educated about how it affects human health as well. Farmweek's Amy Taylor reports.
As always, the Mississippi State University College of Veterinary Medicine open house brought the wow factor to its visitors. In addition to usual activities like the pet show and equine agility demonstrations, CVM sophomore and open house chairman Ryan Gibson says new exhibits were featured.
Some of the new demonstrations that we added include Be a Surgeon, which allows students and exhibitors to kind of look into the surgery room that they normally would not be able to see and watch how surgeons prepare for surgery, why they do what they do, and how they're actually going to perform surgery on your pet. We've taken everything that we've had in the years before and amped it up, made it better.
For example, in addition to one of the outdoor activities, included a hunting dog demonstration. Another new feature showcased a very detailed skeletal exhibit. Additionally, Dean of the CVM, Kent Hoblet, says much emphasis is on public health.
Veterinary medicine also is important to human health. At the epidemic level, diseases that veterinarians in local practices across the country, across Mississippi, are the front line for diseases that affect animals and sometimes are manifested in people. And so our students learn that, our researchers and faculty are doing that, and in terms of outreach, we want the students coming in, the kids coming in here to get an appreciation, to begin to get an appreciation of the role of veterinary medicine in society, actually.
The open house drew the largest crowd ever, with about 4,000 visitors. The two-day event is normally reserved for elementary students the first day, followed by a day that's open to the public. From Mississippi State University, I'm Amy Taylor reporting.
Thursday, May 8th, marked the centennial anniversary of the creation of the Extension Service in Mississippi and across the country. 100 years ago, May 8, 1914, President Woodrow Wilson signed the Smith-Lever Act, which provided funding for outreach activities by land-grant universities in the U.S., such as Mississippi State. Gary Jackson, now director of the MSU Extension Service, reflected on the past and the future of Extension during a conversation this week. Dr. Jackson, thanks for being with us today. Do you think Dr. Michael Hoke Smith and Frank Lever, would they be surprised at what Extension is today and the impact of this Smith-Lever Act?
I don't think that they would be surprised. I think they'd be very proud, because the Smith-Lever Act actually accomplished exactly what they intended for it to do at the time. And of course, you know the history of the Land Grant Act, starting with the Morrill Act of 1862, and then with the Hatch Act, and then the 1890 Act, leading up to the Smith-Lever Act, to have an educational system to disseminate the agricultural research to the people.
Well, after 100 years, which is a long time, the mission of Extension certainly hasn't changed, but the delivery methods have, the way it operates, correct?
Exactly. The mission of Extension certainly is still to take the research information from Mississippi State and other institutions to the people, but there's a lot of changes with the technology. When you think about the information age that we live in today, with the internet, the iPhone and other devices that we use to take the knowledge base out there.
Let's briefly kind of give the folks that aren't that familiar a snapshot of Extension today, number of employees, number of offices.
Sure. The MSU Extension Service is the major outreach arm of Mississippi State University, as well as other land grants across the country. And as a result of that, we take adult education, including youth development through our 4-H programs, to the people through a tremendous infrastructure, starting with our headquarters on campus and our faculty that we have on campus. We have about 150 PhDs in various different subject matter areas that are located at Mississippi State on campus, and also at our 4 regional research and extension centers that we have in the state. And then we have 82 county extension offices in each county. So there is an extension office, extension network within 30 minutes of every Mississippian. And we have 810 employees today that make up that total network of delivering educational programs to the people.
Well, over this long history, 100 years, what are just a couple maybe of the highlights in your mind when you look back at the history of Extension in Mississippi?
Well, obviously, one of the first ones that comes to mind, which we're very proud of, is the 4-H programs, because the 4-H programs originally started with Corn Club Smith in Mississippi, and so we're very proud of that. And certainly when you think about our largest industry in the state and in the nation, agriculture, the impact that Extension has made on production agriculture. For example, this past year, the soybeans was over a $1 billion industry, and the farm gate value at about $7.8 billion value. And so Extension has had a tremendous impact on that, and we're very proud of that. And certainly, rural community development through our local government programs in support of the supervisors and municipal groups. And also, you think about families and children through our Family Consumer Sciences program, enhancing the quality of life, whether it's food safety, whether it's child care, or financial literacy, for example, are all major things. And so when you look across the last 100 years, Extension delivery, it's made a huge difference in the lives of people.
In about 30 seconds, what's the future of Extension? It's been a long way, it's come a long way, it's still doing a magnificent job. What's the future in 30 seconds?
Well, one of the things that, as we celebrate this 100 years, we want to have a futuristic focus to look to the next 100 years, because we believe Extension is needed today as much as it's ever been. We have to continue to take our new discoveries to the people. We have to continue to do our research and take that out there to solve problems, to increase productivity, to help businesses, industries, local communities, and enhance that quality of life. And so the world population is growing. There's a greater food supply that is needed, more food safety and these things. So we have to continue to do that educational piece and get it out there. And we've got to use the technology. And that's key to having an effective Extension service in the next 100 years, is the knowledge base, cutting edge, with a great technology to deliver it.
And artist open houses were held at a number of county extension offices across Mississippi on Thursday, May 8th, as part of the Centennial Observance.
And of course, we'll have more in the coming year as we celebrate this observance. We are about to move into the markets on Farm Week, but before we do that, here's a preview of today's feature story. Where is the best tasting catfish grown? Most would say Mississippi. We'll take you to a state catfish farm and processor where taste is everything. Time now for the markets with Leighton. And Leighton, the monthly supply and demand reports are just out.
That's right, and we have a cautionary note, if you want to call it that, about the numbers, at least from one analyst in his mind. Also ahead this weekend, the market's advice to execute some new crop corn sales. Mexico expands access to U.S. beef as the PED virus is forecast to reduce hog slaughter by the third quarter of the year. Friday, May 9th brought the release of the government's monthly snapshot of ag in the United States. Analyst Todd Hultman with DTN urges both growers and traders not to take that report too seriously. Hultman says, quote, "This year's grain game has barely begun. The preliminary numbers could be affected by any number of factors in coming months." Well, U.S. corn prices are definitely better now than they were at the beginning of the calendar year. Analyst Mark Gold tells growers he would be looking to sell some new crop corn if you haven't already.
20–25% of your forward prices into the fall. I'd be having some put options on for maybe another third of that. If we get the corn in the ground nationally by June 1st, I'd be buying some more puts. We're selling some more grain. And if we come in mid-July and we look at the longer term forecast, if it looks like a fairly normal July out here, I would be getting the rest of it done.
Let's break from the markets to look at the trivia quiz for this week. May, if you haven't heard, is National Barbecue Month. So check out our question. What is the most popular meat to prepare on a grill? Is the answer chicken or steak or hamburgers or hot dogs? I'll tell you at the end of the markets.
We're going to pause for a short break on Farm Week. Coming up, we'll look at the calendar and the rest of the markets. Leighton Spann reports Mexico is opening its borders to U.S. cattle, while U.S. pork numbers are declining. In the feature segment today, Pride of the Pond. This Tunica, Mississippi grower and processor strives for the best tasting fish possible all the time.
Our tradition of learn by doing is creating new opportunities. My 4-H is involved with service projects in communities all across our state.
We develop leaders for Mississippi's future.
My 4-H is science and technology, everything from computers and robotics to exploring our environment.
My 4-H promotes active lifestyles and encourages physical fitness, healthy foods, and nutrition.
My 4-H is Mississippi 4-H.
Before we get back to the markets, let's look at the Farm Week calendar. Farmers interested in commercial strawberry production should attend a short course next week on Tuesday and Wednesday, May 13th and 14th. It will take place at the Choctaw Ag Complex just off Highway 16 in Neshoba County, west of Philadelphia. Attendance is free. Pre-registration is required, and we will have a web link on our Farm Week website calendar. This workshop is for commercial growers and not for home gardeners. The Mississippi Delta Community College at Moorhead is holding 2 weeks of agricultural production training for entry-level farm employees. It takes place for 2 weeks, May 26th through June 6th. The cost is $25. Today's tractors require knowledge of electronics to operate them. Participants will also get hands-on in the field instruction as well as instruction in maintenance and chemical handling. The deadline to register is May 15th. We'll have the phone numbers on our Farm Week website calendar. Go to our Farm Week website at farmweek.msucares.com for information on these and other events. Now check out this week's Farm Week Snapshot.
It was confirmed this week that the Mexican government has decided to expand access to U.S. beef imports into that country. The U.S. Meat Export Federation says Mexico will now allow all beef and beef products from animals of any age slaughtered after May 28th of last year. This news culminates a 10-year effort to normalize trade in beef products between the two countries. Agricultural economist Steve Meyer is forecasting third quarter hog slaughter in the U.S. will be down over 9.5% from last year due to the PED virus. Meanwhile, trader Tom Fitzenmeyer says he has seen some stability in the sector despite continuing virus trouble.
You've got reduced numbers because of PED, and then you've got all this extra weight. Weights were up again in cattle and hogs both this past week. So that's the tonnage hasn't gone off that much, and as a result, it kind of has kept the lid, I guess you say, a little bit on hogs. And I think they've probably overdone, especially those fourth quarter hogs are really pretty heavily discounted. I would expect them to start to move up a little bit and catch up with where the nearbys are at.
Before our feature story, let's check the trivia answer for this week. The correct choice is C. A barbecue study found that burgers top the list of the most popular meat to prepare using a grill.
In the farm-raised catfish industry, taste is everything. The whole industry gets a black eye when off-flavor catfish are sold to the public, regardless of where they're grown. One Northwest Mississippi catfish farmer and processor is so concerned about taste, it's the company's sole focus. Certified on flavor is the company slogan of Pride of the Pond of Tunica.
That's what's going to determine whether we stay in business or not is our quality and our service, and that's what we want to compete on. On flavor catfish that's treated properly is by far better than any fish I've ever eaten.
Flavor and taste are practically obsessions for owner Bill Battle and Pride of the Pond, a Tunica, Mississippi catfish processor. Pride of the Pond is the processing and sales division of Battle Farms. Battle's father and mother, Paul and Norma, began catfish farming in 1969.
We started raising fish, and the live haulers would take fish to pay lakes up north, and we were about 100 miles closer than any other fish that they could get in Mississippi. So we had a little edge on the market, and that market grew.
Looking for an edge turned out to be a way of business for the Battles. There was no live haul market during the winter, so in 1982, Bill's father decided to add value to his fish by building a processing plant with the Owen family and Bill Giddon. Around 2008, Battle Farms bought out their partners and became the sole owner. At this time, Battle renovated the Pride of the Pond plant. Battle and his staff believe that modernization has improved further the flavor and quality of their catfish. The catfish are transported in chilled water and processed in a plant kept at 43 degrees. In an hour after harvest, the catfish are either fresh packed on ice or frozen, ready for the customer.
Our flavor profile is one of the best in the industry. It's the way we process our product. It's cold from swimming fish. It's chilled to when it's frozen or ice packed. You know, when you can do that within an hour, your product is fresh. You have a longer shelf life on the fresh and the frozen.
The profit margins are slim in catfish processing, so efficiency is vital. Even though it processes 55,000 pounds of catfish per day, Battle says Pride of the Pond is probably the smallest modern plant in the industry. Computer automated scales weigh the product at several points in the process, as well as sort the catfish fillets according to weight. Battle admits much of his plant's redesign came from ideas he saw in the poultry processing industry.
The chicken people seem to be a little more advanced than the catfish people as far as product flow and how to not double handle material. And so we took their advice and went through several plans before we decided on a final plan, and we're real happy with what we got.
The effort to deliver on-flavor catfish extends to the Battle Farms catfish operation. 98% of Pride of the Pond's catfish comes from Battle's own 2,700 acres of ponds, allowing him once again more control over fish quality. Off-flavor catfish may taste or smell musty or muddy. It is usually caused by certain types of blue-green algae. The fish are safe to eat, just undesirable.
If it hadn't been testing good or slightly off, we'll make sure that once it hits that good level, that it's maintained for several weeks before we do bring it in.
We're going to be 100% on flavor 100% of the time.
Mississippi has always had more than half of all the farm-raised catfish water acres in the United States, but acres peaked in Mississippi 12 years ago at almost 113,000. In early 2013, it had dropped by more than half to just under 49,000 acres. Most of this decline has occurred since the Great Recession started in late 2007. Several factors have combined to hammer U.S. catfish producers. U.S. catfish producers overproduced, and pond acres plummeted. This caused a shortage and record-high pond bank prices in 2011. These were met with record-high feed prices due to high grain and soybean prices. Some areas saw feed increase to $562 per ton in 2012.
Back when feed was even at $200 a ton, even back then it was estimated that feed was as much as probably 60% of our annual operating costs. Now with the cost of feeds, you know, that number is probably up as high as 80 to 90% of our annual operating costs.
The increase in pond bank prices has prompted overseas producers of catfish-like species to flood the U.S. market. Imports of catfish account for 78% of all catfish fillets sold in the United States. Imports are also the cheapest catfish, pulling down the price of U.S.-grown stock.
And the price of live fish followed that shortage and went up 50% during that time period. Well, at the same time, the Vietnamese and the other imported products that come over here at considerably less selling price just found a perfect storm for them to come into and get into a market that was short on fish in supply and at record price levels.
The U.S. catfish industry points out foreign-produced catfish are often grown using drugs and chemicals that are banned in the United States. The catfish industry says in 2012, 45 shipments of foreign catfish were not allowed entry into the U.S. Unfortunately, only a small percentage of foreign-grown seafood is inspected each year.
We don't feel like any of the imported fish meets our quality standard. we feel like we've got a far superior product to any foreign product that wants to compare with us, and we'll compare any day, any time.
In spite of the situation facing the U.S. catfish industry, Battlefields Pride of the Pond's focus on flavor, efficiency, and customer service will help it meet the challenges of the future.
We do everything that we can do to deliver the best product that we possibly can to the cook. And once it gets to the cook's hands, not much I can do.
Well, we are at the end of Farm Week for this week. On our next show, we'll report on Thursday's poultry growers meeting in Louisville and what help may be available for them.
And in the feature story next week, the latest winners of the World Food Prize have injected more controversy into the GMO food argument. The three are known for their work in developing GMO technology.
In Southern Gardening, backyard warmth. Plan for the warm weather of May and you'll be drawn out into your landscape. For the rest of the Farm Week crew, I'm Artis Ford.
And I'm Leighton Spann. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.